Hey everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Scales Deconstructed. This episode we are going to be taking a look at the scale that is most often associated with dominant 7 chords, and that's the Mixolydian mode. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with what a Mixolydian mode is, you can think of it in one of two ways. You can think of it as a major scale with a flatted 7th, or you can think of it as the 5th mode of the major scale. So we're doing this in the key of G, so if you're familiar with your G major scale, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, take the F sharp and lower it to F natural. That's our flatted 7th, which is why this is the mode most often associated with dominant 7 chords, right? Because a dominant 7 chord is a major chord with a flatted 7th rather than a major 7th. So formula-wise, a Mixolydian mode is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 8. Okay? So what we want to start out with is our sets of intervals. We're going to go through the scale in thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, and sevenths. And as always, if you would like PDFs of all of the exercises that I go over with an additional 2 exercises per interval and an additional set of 7th arpeggio exercises as well, you can become a patron at patreon.com/MikeGoddetMusic and get access to all of these exercises and all previous episodes as well. So we're going to start by going up the scale in thirds, which means we're taking each note of the scale and we're going to play the note 3 scale notes higher. So G and B would be the first set of thirds, and we work it through the scale. So when we do that, we get this. Descending. Okay, now we're going to go down the first pattern and then up the second one. So instead of going, we go down the first one and the second one is up. So I reverse the 2 notes. So now we have backwards. Okay, now if we want to go on to the fourths, we're going to start with the G and then the 4th note of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, C, G to C. Now if we just go ascending through all of the fourths, we get this. Backwards. Okay, now reversing the pattern, going down the first one and then up the second one. Backwards. Now if we go up the scale in fifths, we're going to start with G and D and work it through the scale. Now we get this. Backwards. Okay, now down the first one and up the second one. Backwards. Okay, now if we go up in sixths, we're going to take G and then the 6th note of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, G to E. If we go up the scale on that, we get this. Descending. now down one and then up the other. Descending. Now if we take sevenths, G to F natural, right, because we have our flatted seventh, if we go up in sevenths, we get this. Backwards. Now if we go down the first one and up the second one. Backwards. Okay, for part 2, we want to be able to go through the scale in arpeggios. So what I mean by that is we're going to take each note of the scale and build the first, third, and fifth off of each note. And this really helps out a lot with theory. It gives you a better understanding of the Roman numerals and how they line up within each mode. So if we do that for G Mixolydian, we start with G major, right? The 1 chord is major, the 2 is minor, the 3 is diminished, right? So that's the first arpeggio that changes from Ionian, right? Because in Ionian, the 1 is major, the 2 is minor. The 3 would be minor in Ionian, but because we lower the F sharp to the F natural, for Mixolydian, the 3 becomes diminished. Then the 4 is major, 5 is minor. Another arpeggio that's different from the major scale, because the major scale, the 5 is major, right? But here we have minor, D minor. 6 is minor, and then the flatted 7th is major, and then back to G major. So real quick, one more time. We have 1 is major, 2 is minor, 3 is diminished, 4 is major, 5 is minor, 6 is minor, flat 7 is major, and then back to the 1. So if we go up that, backwards, okay, now if we want to go down the first one and up the second one, we have backwards, and on the Patreon, I also go through that with 7th arpeggios as well, which gets really interesting and a lot of really interesting arpeggio placements. So if you would like to have access to that, you can go to patreon.com/MikeGaudetteMusic. And yeah, let's go to part 3. All right, so for part 3, I always recommend being able to go through every scale in dyads as well. So what dyads mean, it's just 2 note groupings played at the same time. So I would recommend taking all of the interval exercises that we did and play them as 2 note groupings rather than one at a time. So we're going to start out with seconds. So if we take G and then the second being A, play those together, and then run that through the entire Mixolydian scale, we get this. Now if we do the same thing with thirds, G and B, and run it through the scale, we get... Now with fourths, fifths, sixths, and finally sevenths. Okay, so I would recommend getting comfortable running through all of those. Also, if you can, try to do them in multiple positions, because the more knowledge you have of each of your scales all throughout the neck, the better. So that's it. That's our episode for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got something out of it. And, you know, like I said, if you want to become a patron and get access to all of these PDFs with the additional exercises, you can do so at patreon.com/MikeGaudetteMusic. And that's our episode for this week. I will see you guys next time. Take care.